Hello there, Common Wolfram here, with a theory written together with Ancient Searcher and in collaboration with Zeltik. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a game which's name and logo points towards one direct combination, namely that of Ouroboros. A word that every Nintendo or Zelda fan associated with the fusion mechanic found in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Now it is also tied to the 20th Zelda game, much thanks to the real-life Ouroboros and the duality of Zelda Nintendo / Monolith Soft cooperation since Breath of the Wild, a partnership stretching throughout the Switch generation. No doubt there's plenty to go over here, so be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channels.
Monolith worked on Breath of the Wild, and because of their massive success, they're continuing on with their next project, Tears of the Kingdom. It's worth noting that Monolith's Xenoblade Chronicles 3 features an Ouroboros mechanic. Perhaps that's one of a few reasons the Zelda logo and title reveal was pushed back until after Xenoblade's release. The inspiration behind this symbol is typical for both the fresh blood at the Zelda team and the seasoned lore experts at Monolith, bringing an emphasis on real-world mythology and spirituality into their games. And few real-world symbols are as iconic and as ancient as the Ouroboros, a serpent, dragon, or snake eating its own tail, like the process of skin sloughing. The snake bites off its own skin to reveal a new one. Only, there are two serpents in Tears of the Kingdom, a combination of two entities coming together to form a whole. We've seen this theme of combination in the clothing, weaponry, enemy design, and gameplay, where one individual element combined with another results in a whole new, more powerful entity that stands apart from what we had in Breath of the Wild.
In other words, a literal materialization of the symbol of Ouroboros. The transmigration of souls. Metempsychosis as a symbol for eternal cyclic renewal or a cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Representing profound ideas, the world's origin, the hidden phases of cycles, chaos, order, life and death, infinity. The hand grants Link new abilities and access to the Sky Realm, where Link is a vessel for the spirit to progress slowly but steadily back to Ganondorf, and behind him again, possibly Demise. Two entities in need of each other, but who combined can overcome even the greatest of threats, including Ganondorf's full power malice and minions. This may have gone over the head of most of us, but in fact the logo itself has a duality in line with this theme. An inner circle with the two dragons, we know that one is Link and the other the spirit whose hand is now attached to Link's body. But possibly also Zelda and Hylia and Ganondorf and Demise, all because of duality. Nevertheless, beyond this one we have a second circle surrounding the two dragons, one that combines the two. This is none other than the gauntlet that shackles the two entities together. Same color, ideal circle, shape and structure of the gauntlet. And the logo is much like the title of the game, a metaphor that doesn't just describe one specific item. This includes one of the key mechanics where the two entities get around by combining into a teardrop. Curiously, this one is more or less a one-to-one recreation of the teardrop preceding the revival of the light spirits in Twilight Princess after collecting none other than the Tears of Light. There we got our transition to Twilight Princess and the dual serpents, where once again director Hidemaru Fujibayashi has, as the Zelda team's key story writer, expanded the importance upon. The Twily, their obsession with the spiral of life, and the duality of this one, a throne with a dual mirrored character, made out of stone, just like the fused shadow which their ancestors the Sheikah interlopers carved it out of. Within it, but also next to the throne in the Palace of Twilight, we find two serpents or dragons. The same goes for the Mirror of Twilight. Though within the fused shadow itself, the two spiral, just like in the hieroglyphics above the revealed title and logo of Tears of the Kingdom. But that's not all, as the two snakes or dragons originate from the same point. To put it in other words, this game, which shouldn't have existed as it started out as DLC for Breath of the Wild, has now turned into the Zelda team's outlet to realize everything that they couldn't in past games, whether it was for story, gameplay, but more often than not, hardware concerns.
A perfect example of this is Skyward Sword Sky. Series producer Eiji Aonuma and director Hidemaru Fujibayashi agree it was undercooked due to the massive hardware limitations of the Wii. Similarly, the mysterious, floating Twilight Realm was condensed to one single dungeon, when it and its inhabitants could have been so much more fleshed out. more unused potential which is now being fully realised when the hardware at last allows it. But since the Zelda franchise never stays the same for long, some of this lost potential throughout the franchise looks to be realised in this new game of combinations and dualities. Tears of the Kingdom could itself be a broader Ouroboros that ties Zelda's past and present together, just like how Link is now a combined entity of past and present. Of course, this Link is already a man of the past as he slept for a century in the Shrine of Resurrection, but Tears of the Kingdom seems to be a connection to events even more ancient. Like the strong similarity to Twilight Princess found in the logo, where the new reforged part of the Master Sword's design is heavily reminiscent of elements of the Twilight Tribe, which, for all we know, could be the spoiler that the Zelda team was hesitant to reveal back in 2021. It's another combination of distant past and post-apocalyptic present, just like the relationship between Link and the spiritual hand. It's bringing together young and old, light and dark, all forms of duality like yin and yang. Hence, the Dual Ouroboros could represent some of the design philosophy of Tears of the Kingdom, combining the best of the past with the best of the present.
It's a perfect connection to the complex but also primitive distant past of stone that the Zonai, or more and more likely the descendants of the Twili back in Hyrule, represented. The possible origin point of the latest part of the timeline after a potential convergence of the three prior split branches, one of which we find the stone-based Twili. Seeing that the Ouroboros symbol is the elemental force of the world in cultures found around the world, beginning from China, but with documented proof going back as early as ancient Egypt through their hieroglyphics, then ancient Greece, Rome, Norse mythology with the earth serpent Midgardsormen, as we say in Norwegian, and many others. Then in later times, the symbol has been associated with alchemy. This is a typical example of the Zelda team, and in their search for a fitting candidate for a distant past tribe and combination with the present, they went for the most ancient, Ouroboros, the perfect fit for the distant past Zonai tribe as it is depicted in the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. But what is the source of this energy? Well, the answer is rather clear, as it is spiritual and immortal in nature, the spiral of life, one of the first things we saw in the reveal trailer of this very game. But back in May, exactly 1 year prior to the release of Tears of the Kingdom, we also detail how each champion in Breath of the Wild was tied to one of the elements detailed by Plato: fire, water, wind and earth. But Plato also brought up a fifth element, ether, represented by an immortal and ideal divine spiral, or spiritual energy, an added power that the sequel has tried to hammer in each of its teasers, tied to the heavens, represented by a spiral and spiritual in nature. In fact, the war points in Tears of the Kingdom are likely to take place to and from activated green spirals, hidden within the existing surface of Breath of the Wild's Hyrule, just like we saw in the background towards the end of the title reveal trailer.
The Ouroboros in particular has been used to portray the concept of recycling energy. To the ancient Zonai, the dragon symbol might represent electric energy, just like Farosh who flies over their ruins in Breath of the Wild. But more specifically, the symbol represents the endless cycle of ordered energy through construction and destruction. It's one of the enduring symbols of the recycling of energy, the dissolution of ordered energy which is then used to feed the creation process of ordered energy, which, when combined with the eerie blue-green glowing colour often used in the Zelda series to depict ghosts, might be the energy of the spirits of the dead. It's all a cycle as represented by the logo of the game, the cycle of life, death and life again, which has been shown in all teasers of Tears of the Kingdom. Link is poisoned by malice but then saved by a spiritual hand, the Master Sword was broken by malice but possibly restored by the same power, Zelda falls into the void, and the mummified Ganondorf awakens after the spiritual power that had kept him sealed had to let go. All of these are involved in a cycle of life and death and life again, one that Plato referenced in the following structure that all of you who played Breath of the Wild will recognise. Just like Demise stated when cursing the bloodline of the goddess and the spirit of the hero, his hatred is a cycle without end. But who knows, perhaps Tears of the Kingdom will be about breaking this cycle of evil, using the energy represented by the spiraling spirit and the double Ouroboros, and unleashing it to break this unending loop.
Though as we have now spent this video on, there's a duality and fusion in all of this, and what goes for Link and the hand might also go for Zelda and the deity she has a spiritual connection to since losing her mother, goddess Hylia. So Zonai spirit, which might be Sky cross Link, and Hylia cross Zelda. Two split paths that will eventually converge for the final battle, and another theme along with combinations, namely restoration. So many possibilities just in a single logo, symbol, and the power that might be added to the Master Sword. Well, that and the hieroglyphics behind it. And that is why none of us can underestimate the importance of the Dual Ouroboros, the gauntlet encircling them, the symbolism of this duality, and how it will impact this game. But before that, an adventure awaits us in the House of the Dragons. Though how far up will the Sky Islands go? For that answer, you have to check out Zeltik's latest video, which goes over exactly that question. So be sure to leave a like, subscribe, press that notification bell for both of our channels, and head straight over to Zeltik's channel, as it is time to take the tier of the kingdom up to the heavens. As always, a big thanks goes to all our patreon.com/Comeron patrons, and in particular our royal producer Charles Shush. You rock, and we will see you in Zeltik's video.